I think the key highlight for me is the fact that there's some progress and gradual progress. We might not be able to leapfrog because we have a lot of things that are hindering our ability to grow. One of them is infrastructure, technology, because we push technology more than actually understanding what the financial requirements or needs of those people, particularly in the rural areas, are. We also move to even the cash. How much volume of money are these people actually transacting with? The volume of money they trade with are probably so insignificant, and the cost of actually pushing, particularly mobile money being the very comfortable anchor, has been a bit of a hindrance. But I think the most important thing for me is the fact that the market is big. I
was going to come to that. Yes, the volumes of cash moved by these, especially those in the rural areas, might not be much, but the numbers count at the end of the day. Yes. I mean, when you add it all up, yes, at the end of the day, it all adds up, and yes, could amount to a huge number. So I'm thinking that could end up being significant.
Yes, it could be, but what we should actually be looking at more importantly is the fact that financial inclusion itself, it's not a product. It is a strategy that would evolve over time. So if we see financial inclusion as a product, then we'll be limiting ourselves to the services the product can offer. But when we see financial inclusion as a journey, we realize that it's not so much of throwing technology, throwing products to it, because it's more of a social service.
So you're saying that, first of all, at least for Nigeria, we need to redefine how we approach financial inclusion. Because what we hear is, it's the unbanked, trying to get people in the informal sector, into the formal sector to have bank accounts and, etc.
But again, is to even start defining to what extent do they even need a bank account. So you need to start looking at even the features and the...
So you're saying not everybody needs a bank account, because that's the whole basis of financial inclusion. They're trying to get people to own bank accounts, even if they don't have any money.
I think financial literacy is the starting point. How educated, how much of understanding do these people have of financial literacy? Because that is where you actually evolve. Then you can actually start talking about you've been able to transact, you've been able to move money from your phone to make payments, you've been able to create a savings account and actually start saving towards, for instance, your next, the next cropping season. So those things would evolve. And again, the peculiarities of Nigeria are probably a bit different. So you need to understand the fact that the Nigerian factor comes in when it comes to our population, when it comes to our culture. And again, of course, we talked about infrastructure. So those factors are things that could actually hinder our ability to actually leapfrog.
Yeah, speaking about leapfrogging, some might argue that technology, digital payments, which is now part of the mix, and just revolutionizing the entire ecosystem, is what we need to leapfrog in the first place. But you've said that we just throw in technology at these people, and there needs to be that firm awareness. It needs to become a lifestyle, knowing that, okay, financial inclusion is something that is part that could lead to better social economic well-being or status, as it were. So how is it that we've gotten it wrong? Because if we have digital payments, which also helps to reduce costs, which is one of the reasons why people are excluded from the financial services sector in the first place. So what is it? Where is that disconnect?
I think the starting point is to understand the needs of the people. If you take an average villager who is currently trading with his 10,000 naira, 5,000 naira, going from point to point, right? What he needs is first to know how I can actually improve my turnover. So it's not so much of first selling the person a mobile money account. That's not the starting point. So you have to first learn how to evolve that person to understand how he could use his money better. And which is why in most countries what you find is financial literacy superseding the introduction of technology. And again, you look at also the fact that a lot of these people, yes, people say that, oh, everyone carries a mobile phone. The mobile density, it's pretty high now. So everybody carries a mobile phone. So, but to what extent can they even use those mobile phones to perform those transactions?
Well, we hear that, especially, telcos, banks are trying to make it as easy as possible.
Precisely.
They're developing it in different languages, different local languages, and just to process, maybe like a star, 1, 2, 3 hash kind of thing, something easy to remember and easily. So I'm thinking, Isn't that part of the process to make it easy?
Exactly. Those are because the truth is, how many villagers have data on their phone? They don't. So a lot of people would, I mean, it's easier to push such facilities through using the USSD codes, which I'm glad a lot of the mobile payment companies are actually pushing forward now. And that could actually be a very good way of actually leapfrogging into the future.
Well, for Nigeria's case, we do have a plan. I think by 2020, I don't quite remember the figure, what we're trying to attain now, but it's significant. But do you think that we're gathering enough momentum in getting all of the unbanked? Because, just looking at the figure, 1.7 billion adults remain unbanked, and they're all in 7 developing countries, Nigeria inclusive, yes, China, Bangladesh, and I'm wondering...
Yes. There's a lot for us to do, First, from the regulatory point of view, and I think, of course, the central bank being an anchor is doing a whole lot in time to push and drive that initiative. Then the solutions providers too. We need to probably take a back seat a bit and look at how we could actually use social initiatives to actually drive this. Because the reality is that if we focus on driving financial inclusion as a profit organization, you would probably not grow as fast as you'd want to. You need to start looking at financial inclusion from a non-profit organization, or as a non-profit organization from that perspective. So what it does for you is that because the profit is not so much a priority, what you're trying to do is improving people's lives and actually turning whatever you're making around back into the business, and not so much of returning value to shareholders, but value to the rural.
We should be in a